Hi, beloveds, and welcome to the Awaken Being Conversations to Create Change. This conversation is around the awakening for humanity. And this is a part of the Marci on Medicine series because I'm actually joined by a beautiful, beloved, a woman who is just so incredible, Darieth Chisolm. She's an Emmy Award-winning TV host, was an anchor woman for 20 plus years. She's an international speaker. She's been on TEDx talks and stages all around the world. She's an author. She's a life and business coach and multimedia strategist, and she's an activist and a filmmaker as well. And she was able to join me for my Colombia retreat experience, having never done plant medicine before, and will be joining me for some of my other experiences, and is now called to create another film and a documentary, really opening up the perception and the truth beyond all illusions as to what is available. So we get to dive into an amazing conversation around all aspects of this. So I'm so excited that you're here to join us for this. And my loves, as always, there's so many resources available to serve and support you and to be able to living and experiencing your greatest life now. If you haven't yet, I highly recommend go to marcilock.com, be able to download and access for free the freedom activators that will teach you how to move through anything in resistance. You can also check out if there's any other activations or meditations or specific programs or trainings that will support you. There's also the book, The Awaken Being, Living in Liberation, Abundance, and Bliss right now. And so just know that you are supported, my loves. And I'm so happy that you're here joining us for this conversation. And I'm excited for what it will be able to open and access for you in your life as well. Thanks for joining us and enjoy the show. All right. Beloveds, thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome to the Awaken Being Conversations to Create Change. I'm so excited for another conversation that's based around the Marci on Medicine series. And I'm joined today by this beautiful beloved you get to witness, which is, her name is Darieth Chisolm. She is, I'm like, this woman, whoo. You're an Emmy Award winner, TV host. You were 20 years doing as a TV host, news anchor. You're a speaker internationally. You've been sought after as a motivational speaker. You've done TEDx talks and stages all over the world. You also have a book called Hustle. Actually, it's Hustle. Why now? Why now is the time to unleash your passions. So good. You're known as a business and a life coach, a multimedia strategist, and the one that just also I'm so honored to witness you in is an activist for social justice. And I'll let you share more about that. But you have the documentary you created, which is 50 Shades of Silence, which is such a powerful impact. Now, the reason that I've asked beautiful Darieth to be with me on this conversation on Marci on Medicine is you joined me in Colombia for our Portal of Liberation experience, working with grandmother Ayahuasca. You're going to be joining me soon in my next retreat experience, working with 5-MeO and psilocybin. And we really want to bring a whole other aspect of awareness around these sacred sacraments, these sacred plants, these, clairvoyant visionary medicines that are here to awaken and expand our consciousness, open up our gifts and our capacity to be fully, truly the magnified beings serving and supporting humanity that we're here to be. And this is so, beloved, you'd never done plant medicine. So I'd love to kind of maybe start from there as to what drew you to it? How did it come into your field? I'm not even sure how you came across me, if it was my book or how that all evolved, but where that really started for you. And just first off, my love, thank you for being here. Thank you. I know you're jetting all over the world at this sacred project that we'll share more about. And just, thanks for taking the time to be here and share your story of this as well.
Thank you for the invitation. It is such a pleasure to be with you and to be asked to be on the show. I'm so grateful for that and excited about our conversation ahead. I am just, again, very grateful to be a part of that. In terms of how I find you, I am still scratching my head about that. I know at some point it had to have been a YouTube video, probably a couple of years ago. And occasionally I would see something that would come up on YouTube, and eventually I'm sure I got on your email list and would read emails from time to time and be so inspired by you and your work and your mission. And it just over the years, just, would pop in and out. Last year, I really felt the calling to explore plant medicine. And as we're all aware, it's lots of gifted people who have the capacity and the wherewithal to help those of us who are just beginning that journey to start the process. And because I was in this searching mode, this place of looking to discover how best to do that, one day I just happened to again hear you and then go to your website, and I saw that you were offering these ascension adventures. And because even when I found you, I wasn't even aware that this was the work that you were doing. I was just so excited about all that you shared, and it would always light me up. And
Mm.
then I read more about this, and I thought, wow, she's going to be offering something. Not only can I get a dose of Marci, but I can get a dose of this plant medicine. And I was I just knew it was right. And, at the time I travel extensively for the work that I do and the various projects that I'm in. But I knew that at the beginning of the year that it would happen in this year in 2022. And when I discovered that you were having a retreat in Colombia, I made the decision to make it happen somehow, some way, in some process. And interestingly enough, as I made that decision to come, I also got the offer to. I was asked to come and be a speaker at a world summit in Saudi Arabia,
Mhm.
which later required me having to leave Colombia and get on a flight and get to Saudi Arabia to speak on my one of my passion projects. But I was so available and committed to doing both, like literally leaving the jungle, but then going to present in front of 5,000 people. And I'm so happy that I made that decision because it really propelled me forward in ways that I would have never imagined.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm so grateful you even brought that up because so many people would use life circumstances as reasons with their brain. It's like, well, right after that experience going there, you were like, right when you told me about it, I remember being like, wow, this is for a reason that you get to quantum leap your experience to go be even more of a powerful vessel of truth and transformation. And all those people you're going to be affecting on this worldwide stage and this worldwide event and you were like, yeah, I just know, and it's like, and as we got to talk about, okay, how do we just make sure we're encoding in the ease and grace for you, and your body will be recalibrated and all the things to work with it. And you chose in on all of it, my love. And it's like, well, why wouldn't we give ourselves everything that our soul is calling us to and require? There's not a limitation, which is an old idea of either or. It's like, and this now, totos, yes, 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 and. So thank you for still following your heart's calling and not letting any other ideas or the mind get in the way, and just again allow yourself to be even more supported in all that you got to do and share. Yeah.
Yeah, and what that also allowed me to experience is what it means to say yes to our purpose and our passion. And while I'm very passionate about my project around revenge porn and cyberbullying, I knew that my purpose in life was to experience plant medicine in the way that I did, and that I could say yes to both and
Yeah.
experience joy and bliss and a sense of accomplishment in both without saying no to one of the other, and really having both of those things be successful. And they were, and I'm so grateful.
Yeah, and that's how we get to be with all of life, is that we get to literally be in the aspects of all of ourselves, not just like a section separate, like business. It's like, can I be with all parts of me in all aspects? So you're such a proponent for that. I want to kind of jump forward and then jump back, because I want to jump to
Sure.
where you're like the kind of the result in that, what you're passionate about now. You hadn't ever done plant medicine. You felt really called to it. You're on this, propelling just field now of just like this vision of what you got called to. Will you share a bit about what this has all come about for you, as in like what you're focused on and working on now, and then maybe we can drop back into like your journey with it, that gives people more insights into the feeling through being called to it, and how all the information and kind of the experience that you got to have. But I'd love to share
Yeah.
this end result of where you're at now.
So my first day on plant medicine, and what my entire intent, in fact, was to discover what was or what is next for me. I've had a very successful career in television, in business, in various different projects, and in the last 6 months to about 9 months, I just felt like rudderless and without purpose. And I was available to experience this pause because I knew that I was transitioning to some degree away from what I had been doing, which primarily is working with clients on storytelling and public speaking. But I felt as though there was something bigger calling me, and I wasn't quite sure what that was.
Mhm.
And I can remember the first day of literally just asking, okay, so what's next for me? What do I do? What's next? And it didn't drop in immediately. In fact, what I heard on ayahuasca was love. And I'm laying there thinking like, no, 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 no. I know how to love. This can't be the answer. I did not come all the way here to to the jungle to hear love. And I'm like, I know how to love. Like, and then I heard it again and I'm like, wait, 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 wait. I want to know what's next. Like, what's the big next thing that I get to do with my life? And again, I heard love. And so I sat with that and really opened up to what it means to open your heart and love. And even in the 4 days that we journeyed, I never got the answer to what am I doing next?
Mhm.
It came, however, in the weeks to follow. And what
Yes.
I discovered was that next thing was to begin to research and put together the components to film a documentary about plant medicine. More importantly, the way of the healer and the power of plant and animal medicine and the transformations and supernatural occurrences that happen. And it dropped in with such clarity and fierceness and conviction that it was the inevitable what's next. And
Yeah.
from there, it just seemed that the universe began to conspire all of the cooperative components to bringing this together with people like yourself, Marci, and Mama, who we both love and enjoy, and other leaders in the field, particularly female leaders who have experience with plant medicine, indigenous, LGBTQIA, women of color, those voices
Mhm.
that need to be heard in this beautiful space around plant medicine and psychedelics. And it just dropped in with so much clarity, even like it just, with the right team coming into place, with the right people to feature and interview. And while this is a massive project that will require lots of travel and lots of film and lots of documenting, now is the time for this because of the power of plant medicine and the ability to help people to understand what's available for them when they journey and they experience this.
Yes. And they experience it in what part of this aliveness is to dissolve the illusion of all the fear, all the misperceptions and misconceptions that are keeping so many people from this awakening within themselves and this awakening of conscious that is our attunement to a new earth, to being in a higher way of being and with all of life. And what I love about, and I just love like the whole aspect of this is just such a fucking cool story, my love, because it's like you went from not experiencing plant medicine at all to having such a beautiful healing transformation awakening for yourself that your passion project is I get to share this story and your gifts and abilities to be able to do that and share all these different aspects of it. And so I find that like that, I mean, that's how quick we can have such a huge awakening and be able to be activated in so many ways. And what I love that you also brought attention to was how once we have, it's like you're still in communication now with higher frequencies, with the medicine. You're still in communication with grandmother. And this is why I want to bring attention to this, what I call the formula, that I talk about. The reason um, plant medicine and working with these sacred sacraments is such an intentional, beautiful gift, is the way that we get to prepare ourselves to be able to work with them and be able to know how to play with it during the experience. As you had many experiences, like I love even that you, as you talk about, the first thing that came to you was love. It's like, well, we can't, our human is doing, our human brain is like, give me the answer to this. What's the problem that's solved? Da, 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 da. And it's like, well, first, my love, it always gives you exactly what your soul requires for that next receiving. And so it's like, first, my love, you get to transmute anything within your system that is not in harmony, which you had some beautiful experiences about, of things that were like, even I remember how you're like, I don't need to go here. I want to go here. And, right. And it was like, yeah, babes, but this is actually what's asking for your attention. And as you had all of that, then it's like, well, of course, love was what got to be received through all your system for the healing, for the releasing and letting go, and then the activation of greater awareness. And so then there's all that dance and that play that we do during, from the, learning how to decipher what's the ego and the human mind trying to get in the way, and what is actually the real messages and the medicine in the conversation, to then how do you integrate it into your life. And so you go home and have this whole integration of this higher attunement into how you operate and be. And then guess what? When we bring those things into alignment, the next thing drops in, the next thing drops in, the next thing drops in. And I just remember how that was one of your main intentions. You're like, I really have been in this place. I'm ready for what's next. And yet I'm like, well, what's fascinating to me is we release all attachments and expectations. We're very intentional, right? We all set our intentions, but we have no attachments or expectations to it. And I don't think there's ever been anyone that I've worked with 14 plus years of doing this and running retreats, that has not received not only everything they desired, but so much more than they could ever even imagine. And it's like, it always comes about, but we get to learn how to be open to experience all that's available with the medicine. And so now as you mentioned to me before, your meditations, your ability to just be in these higher communications and everything is just a whole nother level. And so of course, then it drops in for you where it's like, this is it. And I remember when you shared on our integration call after, how that had dropped in, and it was just this passion, fiery, like, oh, this is it. And I was like, what? Whoa. Like, our human brains could have never seen that coming, right? It's like, you're new to plant medicine. It's like, and also now you're this activist for bringing forth the information and understanding of how to work with it in the right way, that people can receive all that's available. And yeah, and the stories of those that are proponents for this, that I'm so lit up by the whole thing and the whole story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am too. And I'll share that it just to reference back to this first experience with plant medicine, and the first day receiving this download about love.
Mm-hmm.
I had created an acronym for myself, which was CALM: clarity, alignment, love, and momentum. And prior to coming to Colombia, I felt as though I had really worked through the clarity portion. I was working through the alignment portion. And then when the love portion dropped in, and that was it was like I couldn't think of anything else. I couldn't feel anything else. It was all that my heart was just expanding and opening. And then I remembered, well, you can't get to what's next in momentum by jumping over love, because that was something that I had determined for myself that I was going to experience. Calm, clarity, alignment, love, and momentum. And so to sit with that and be with that was so undeniably needed, without me rushing out to go in to do the momentum part, and so beautiful. And even in the 3 days after that were so many things that really allowed my soul to awaken in ways that I would have never known possible if not for my experience with ayahuasca. And again, I needed those things to be put into place so that as I step into this new role as now another film that I'm making, is to be so centered and grounded and focused and available to receive what's needed for this project. I had to have the love piece in place. I needed the clarity and the alignment so that the momentum would happen without there being without utilizing the other core components of clarity, alignment, and love. And so that part for me was so clear, but only after the fact, because hindsight is 2020 always, right? And so we missed that part. But I will say that the other thing that's also become very clear for me is Even when I work with my clients, and so much of my work that I do with my clients is on storytelling and public speaking and helping them to find their true, authentic voice and their story so that they can share that with the world, to have more people come to know the work that they're doing, to be able to offer them their gifts and their services.
Mhm.
That when I think about this documentary and the story around the documentary, it is truly for me about defining what's important in terms of purpose and
Mhm.
passion and play. And when we don't have those things, when we are going after a particular dream, it's like we're just on this treadmill and it's boring, and it's, that's where I was for like 9 months. I was like, what am I going to do next? And nothing is lighting me up. And remember, we had that conversation when I said, I can get really creative on this side, but there's nothing over
Yep.
here. It's like,
Yeah.
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 And I'll
Yeah.
never forget you saying,
Yeah. We get to have fuck yes, like in everything. Yeah, babe.
yeah. And you were like, why would you ever settle for, yeah?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're right. And yet, and yet I wasn't dreaming big enough. And for me, what I needed was something that was so big. So of course it would be to galvanize a team of heart-centered and soul-led people who see the value of telling these stories around plant medicine and its viable power in the world, and being courageous to find the people who are willing to share their voice in this way in a film so that we can empower people to make these choices that we've all made. And that takes me back to my core and my center, and I'm so lit up about it. It's like, yes, like finally the light bulb is back on, and there's no more yeah. It's momentum.
No, todos yes to all, right? Yeah. And
Todos, yes.
and what also feels like just beautiful and important is that as there's this, like you spoke to clarity and like it's like you were in clarity before and alignment before. And it's almost like the formula gets repeated through every single interval of the experience, because even though there was the clarity and all the preparation before, which I want to kind of dive into with you, and like, how this we hear so many scary stories, and you hear everything else, and even with you're saying the people that are willing to share these stories now. I remember I told you how grandmother had told me probably 5-6 years ago, she's like, it's time to start talking about it. And at the time it was like, if you talked about this, you're basically seen as a druggie. And there was just so much manipulation and illusions in the collective about these things are illegal and it's wrong and it's bad. And this is da da da, and labels and attachments and expectations. And I was like, okay, I get to start talking about it, because I can't deny the gifts that it has given me. I really always say that it was the propelling, like quantum leaping my consciousness and awakening. And I've been all over the world and done so many things, and it was like, that's that one thing that's like, I was like, I've got to give this to my personal clients. I've got to give this to the people that I'm working with, because I can't imagine it takes me out of the picture. It takes them out of the picture, and it's their sacred soul alignment of their highest self and in source, like this connection. And so like now I look at it and I go, well, now everyone's talking about it. It's like normalized to talk about plant medicines and all these things. So this is, I feel like such a potency and power, and the importance of this now. As you said, there's a reason why it's all come together so quickly, and being supported by the infinite supply of the universe to bring this together, that it is now. And many of the conversations I'm having with people that are also passionate about this area of like bringing more people to the awareness of how to work with medicines in, I don't want to say there is ever a right or wrong, but the formula that is allowing the safety, the support, the all the things that are available, instead of the fears and illusions and things that we have. And that it's for now, because we've seen what's been happening in the world. It's all getting destroyed and dissolved, and it's all coming up that we can come to this higher alignment. So it's like this birthing is available now for the new earth, and that means we come to a higher attunement. So you leading the way of saying, hey, it's time to talk about this really, and talk about these other aspects, which I love, that isn't just healing and trauma, because of course that's going to happen. Like you had even so much healing in your own body and physical body, and all the things that were showing up there that got to happen. And so that's part of the piece of clarity. Like you create clarity before, but then that's all just human stuff. That's all the mind stuff. Once you're working with the medicine, then there's a clarity of what actually gets to be transmuted through your body vessel. And then there's the after coming to that clarity, like you did, of like, oh, so I love your formula of clarity and alignment and love and momentum. And it's like, that is actually a piece of each aspect. But now that can just be this proponent for so many people to hear the true message of what is available to be able to work with and serve so many people in doing this. But so it's just such an honor, my love, to hear your excitement and your light about it.
Yeah, and in my research, what I'm discovering is there are a lot of people who, yes, have come to plant medicine to heal and to recover from addiction and trauma and pain and find fascinating results and benefits. And then there are others who know that their soul is asking them to discover more within themselves, more within their capacity, more within their ability to impact the world in ways that they dream, but aren't quite sure that they either have the courage or the wherewithal or the knowledge. And what I'm finding is through research and talking with lots of people is that plant medicine has been that additional way of expanding, and without them even realizing it, right? They didn't even they discover it, they experience it, they journey, and then they say to themselves, this is the piece that I've been missing, is that connection to myself and that connection to source. And that is the most beautiful experience for most people. And it's so hard to put into words. And what I hope to do with this film is to be able to create it in a way. In fact, I've often said that this film will be almost like the medicine that I get to give to the world, the team that I'm working with, all of us who are cooperating on this is like the medicine that we hope that people will sit when they watch it and experience it, that we draw them in as if they are sitting in the circle in the Maloka with us. And as they're watching and as they're hearing the stories and seeing the visuals, that something in that calls to them to experience this. Yes. And that is just my truest desire, is that people will feel this and be educated, be brought to a level of awareness that opens their curiosity to ask more questions and to experience this, even if it's only through watching the film, right? Even if it's only through seeing it, that if it touches them in a way that they feel like, wow, that was great, that maybe they will take the next steps to consider the power of plant medicine.
Yes. Well, something that you talked about was when people have any bit of awareness around it, but they instantly, what comes up is, like you said, the courage. Do they have the knowledge? Do they have the ability to do it? And from the mass amount of information that is, I want to say it has an illusion around it, right? It's misinformation it's maybe certain aspects because people don't know what else is available or what is truly available in working with plant medicines, because it is like you hear the horror stories and the scary things, and all that is part of the shadow aspects of it when you're not asking the questions to know that you're like, this is why we have the formula where we're in deep preparation before, and we're, it's like you did so much research, I'm sure, to like looking at, what is plant medicines and all those aspects, as well as just getting more information of what to expect. But most people, when they would do that research, would find, 99% negative, right? Like find all the things of the scary stories, etc. And what I am so excited about in you offering this documentary, and like you said, that people hear, okay, that's why you get to go into the right spaces with the right aligned, facilitators who this is their mastery. You get to prepare yourself in all these ways to be able to work with it. You get to know how to play with the medicine to receive these, and how to break down the things that are in the way that our ego mind is trying to get in the way. Then how to integrate into your life. And when you have these pieces all together, the formula together, then all that is available is the awakening of your soul. But when people go, oh, okay, I got invited to this thing and I'm going to go over to this house and I don't know the facilitator or shaman, I don't know the medicine, I don't know the space. There's no conversation about preparing. There's no conversation in between of how to work with them. There's no integration after. People have traumatic experiences because it's just like a blast open of, information and different things that they don't know what to do with. And then they have, breaks in their psyche or, and that's where all the scary happens. It's simply because we haven't been educated in what is the right way to be able to know how to work with these things. And so I'm so excited that you're bringing this message forth, that people go, oh, I can now have evidence of all that is available for me. Oh, did we lose you? 1 second, we're going to pause. Okay, beloveds, we had a little fun Wi-Fi play, but we are back. Basically, my love, what I was just saying is that, there's so much fear and misinformation or information based on only a certain way of experiencing it. Was that even in the field for you at all? Or was it because, I know you have some dear friends who also run retreats with plant medicine and things that it was like, you're like, yep, I'm called to it. Or did you deal with any of that when you were doing research and tuning in? Like, if someone is called to it and that's what they face, like, how did you deal with that? What did you experience in?
Oh, yeah, of course there was fear. And part of it was because I was being so misinformed by what is available out there. And now that I know that, it's part of the reason why I want to do a documentary to help dispel some of the fears and help to relieve some of the emotions I think that people have going in with it. But yes, in the very beginning, it certainly was. I mean, and I don't, yes, I have friends who have been in this space for a while, and it's been beautiful to hear their journeys and to come to understand the awakening that each of them have experienced it. But what I also discovered was there was a calling that I felt, and it was this thing that was happening that said, your soul needs this. And I've learned to really trust my intuition and trust my gut, and to follow, even if, and most of us, when we're following a path, we don't know where we're going to end up anyway, right? But we won't get there if we don't take the first step. And so I knew that it was really important for me to begin this journey and to discover what was next for me. And I can remember even on the 3-hour drive from the airport into the jungle with you, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't even know this lady or where we're going.
Full trust.
Big decision, right? Full trust. Like, I've made this big decision to do this thing, and yet it all felt so right? It all felt so right. And I think that's the power of just following when there's a calling, just trusting. And I believe most of us do that in most things anyway. We get into relationships and we don't know how that's going to end up. We decide that we're going to start a business and we don't have all of the things mapped out, but there's something in the very beginning that we define as either purpose or passion or play. And for most of us in business, that we hope will end in profit. Those 4 things are really important: purpose, passion, play, and profit. But in this case, I knew that it was just my soul was just calling for this. And so I trusted and was open and available to not only surrender to the medicine, but to surrender to this entire process from start to finish.
Mm-hmm. Did you feel like, though, I mean, I know, so part of the process that I feel called to in creating this whole formula for people is that we do a lot of preparation before, like, we do a couple months worth of calls, everyone's getting on detoxing and getting their body ready and their, the alignment of the dieta, as well as processing through their unconscious commitments and learning how to process. And so that we're working with all the human aspects that are available, because the more, I believe, and this is just a way that it gets so magnified, is that when we clear and we're able to move through a lot of that, then we can come into medicine and be ready to go more to the things that are so suppressed and hidden within our soul that our human doesn't even have awareness to. But in that, did you feel like there was maybe expectations you would have had from what you heard that were a surprise to you or a difference, or did you feel really prepared and kind of knowing more what to expect?
Well, it was great that we did have the time prior and knowing that these were a few things that I really needed to put into place, including the dieta and
Mhm.
the calls that we had, and really preparing myself that way. I mean, a lot of my preparation came from my own research and from my own desire to just know more. And I was approaching this not so much for looking for a way to heal trauma or to heal any particular pain, but to better connect to my soul, to the universe, to source. So I was coming at it from that direction, but
Mhm.
I also wanted to allow myself to not create any expectations because I knew if I started to think about certain expectations that it wouldn't be fair to myself, it wouldn't be fair to you, to the
Yeah.
entire experience. And so I dropped all of that and allowed myself to surrender and go with the flow. And I'm so grateful that I did because it allowed me to drop any preconceived notions or illusions or anything that I would have had. And I
Mhm.
just said, okay, it is what it is, and I'm going to enjoy it for what it is. And it was so much more than I would have ever anticipated.
Hmm. Yeah, I love it. It kind of reminds me of how there was that, not expectations, but it was like, I knew that you were like, what's next? And that you were like, I'm ready to just go here, like to have all this. And I remember also what your body was like, and there's other things. So it's like, it was all available. It was all there. But when we have no expectations, we can really surrender. So I saw you kind of surrender into this. Okay, well, it's not just one or the other. And how even in a micro way, whatever we're seeing through or even looking at is reflecting what within our soul wants to be healed. So like now you're so embodied and encompassing todos, which is all. Like we use the Spanish word because we played with it down there all the time. We're like todos, fuck yes and all. Like again, why blah? Why not all? And have this and all this available, and that you don't have to go into it and go, I'm just gonna get this thing. It's like all aspects of me are here to be witnessed, to be seen. So there's healing, there's trauma releasing, there's expression, there's activation, there's awakening, there's messaging, there's conversation with grandmother. It's all available. It's all available. And you can really only receive all that's available when you release not only the expectations or the fears. And it reminds me of one of the beloveds in your group. I think there was two beloveds in your group. One had done lots of medicine before all over the world in some of the most famous places. And she was like, this is the first time I've ever learned how to work with it and getting so much more because we can work with it in our systems. And then the other one, as you witnessed, was terrified from past experiences with it and has had all this, and yet learning how to work through all that, all like it, what was available was bliss. So I really want to bring that forth for people as well, that it is so many times we think we are in control, the human that says, okay, I'm going to go and I want this. Like you had a specific intention, but when you surrendered, let it all, it's like you got all that and all that and all that and all that. And there's just so much that's available to us. And thank glory, God, goddess in between, do all the things that you're bringing forth the message of what is truly available in it.
Yeah, well, you know what I also discovered was that there were a lot of things that were made very clear for me, and there were areas that needed healing and needed attention. I didn't think they did, and yet what I discovered is that they did, and that this was a viable way to pay attention to it and to embrace it and to honor it and to release it in many ways. And without that, I would have continued at the pace that I'm used to without really taking the time to consider the aspects that needed healing. And because of that, it created more space for things to drop in.
Yeah.
And, I know for people like myself who are type A creatives that are driven, that we see a goal and we go for it. And it's like you put your blinders on and that's it. You're making it happen. And what I had discovered even prior to this is that was part of the reason why I was beginning to unravel and let things go and to allow myself to be in what I call the pause for the last 9 months with business, with certain projects, because my soul was no longer being fed. I was feeling like I was on a treadmill doing things and enjoying them, but not really being excited on a cellular level. And I didn't even realize that the medicine was really working in the cellular level. And I know we had several different conversations about that, because I immediately was like, from the throat chakra up, like, gonna get this voice thing together, gonna get this third
Yep.
eye, and boom, out. And yet
Yep.
we know that it's so important to be fully aligned. And so when I dropped further into my body and really looked at, just certain aspects of healing that really needed to occur in my lower chakras, that was when I realized that it's like running a race with 3 legs instead of 4. And
Mhm.
without paying attention to that, I would get back into another race and be running it, but like hobbling
Yep.
along. And this has given me the opportunity to pay attention to those other things and work on integrating them while I'm working on a brand new project that lights me up. And I don't think that I would have even associated that if I hadn't gone through that process.
Yeah, babe. Is there any other like experiences that you want to share that were special to you, or give insights into? Again, what I mean is, like, so many people can have expectations. Like, I have so many people that think it's going to be struggle or hard or, painful or all these things. And then they're like, oh, that was easy. And it was blissful. And it was like, like, so you had healing in aspects that you didn't even recognize you were there for you. Right. And it's like, I just have these reference points of I remember you dancing, and I just remember like how just like the beauty of the expansion to the healing and everything that kind of came through. So were there some things that kind of surprised you of the whole journey, or things that you're like human might have before been like, okay, well, my soul's called to this, but we let go of expectations, but we still hear and we think we have certain ideas of how it's going to be. Was there anything that you want to share around that?
Well, I did not have very many visuals at all. I'm not a visual person anyway. I'm very kinesthetic and very auditory. And those senses were elevated. And so my experience was I heard everything. I felt as though I was hearing in multiple dimensions. And my frequency of energy just was like turned on, and just I could sense and feel in ways that are so hard for me to describe, except that my body knew it and my presence knew it. And that has occurred in my journeys with plant medicine, even beyond what we experienced there, because I've experienced more since then. And what I've realized is that those natural abilities that we have, that we utilize day in and day out, have the capacity to be turned on and lit up at higher degrees as a result of being with plant medicine. And I guess I should make some statement that, of course, I'm not a doctor, and that's my experience. It may not be your experience. I don't know what your experience is going to be, but this is my own personal experience. But what I found there was that because of that, it allowed me to tap into my innate abilities and use them more often, to listen more carefully, to be with people and be more present with them, to help to illuminate what's inside of other people, like sending a field of frequency that I never even knew that I had. And so much of that was opened for me during the time there. And that was what was so profound. The other thing that also happened was my real connection with everything. Like I felt a sense of connection with every little ant that crawled past me as I laid in the jungle, and every butterfly that fluttered past me, and the leaves and the wind that was blowing. Like to have 4 days of just laying in the jungle and being so connected to the earth and to all of the elements was so vital for the physical body, for my nervous system, for my brain. It was as if I took everything off the charger and just, took it off. And then once I left, it was like everything was charged back up again. So it was like unplugging myself so that when I got back into the world, I had a fresh new charge, right? And that, I didn't expect that. Wouldn't have ever known that would have been my experience. I know that everybody's journey is different, and their experience is different. I'll say the other thing is that I was very conscious to adopt, and this is what I believe I adopt normally in life, is that I believe that that so many things are possible. There are infinite possibilities, and we can choose to struggle to get there, or we can choose to get there.
Yeah.
And the timeline is dependent on how much energy we exert from decision to experience. And
Yeah.
part of what became very clear for me is, I guess this is what people call quantum leaping, or what they consider like a quantum experience, is that you can shorten the distance between having a desire and beginning to experience the desire by choosing to de-story any of the things that get in your way, that come up as struggle or pain or challenge, or it may be possible, I might be able to do it. All of those things slow the field down.
Yeah.
And I'm much more aware that we can move at a velocity, at a speed that is much faster, when we strip those negative subconscious beliefs and drop into anything is possible. And because that's the case, we can call that in now. My ahora, now, and so that is more present with me. And I work with it. It's not perfect. I mean, there are times that I forget and drop into, the human story that's here. But what I'm aware of is that it is possible, and we can change it by de-storying and reframing our experience from desire to outcome. And so much of it is drop the struggle, like drop it in the head so you don't have it as the experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's an important piece of not only a beautiful nugget that you just gave of how to effortlessly flow with life, right? How to follow the energy, and like, life is calling me here, and the brain goes, da, 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 and okay, let me dissolve this, da, da, and move, instead of letting that exist. And then, like you said, the stagnation, the energy isn't in alignment. It's all miscombobulated from, I'm feeling the fear in this, but I also want this, and it just gets in the way. That same point that you just made is also why we prepare, right? It's why we start talking about, what are your fears about doing the medicine? What are the things coming up in your life? What are, your unconscious commitments, all these things that we start to dissolve, that we can, and then through the entire experience of this came up in ceremony, and let's get clear on this and dissolve and see what else is available. Because that's where I feel like so many people have, and this is a practice and a learning of how we come to a higher resonance of way of being with life, that we can do this always. As we do that, then people can go, oh, I can go into the next ceremony and I'm ready and I'm open, not I'm a little confused from that, and that kind of scared me, or this didn't make much sense to me, and I'm not sure what to do with that. And we dissolve it, that you can just move right through. And then same thing with integration. How did you feel like that served you in your integration experience? Because I know when you left, you were going to Saudi Arabia, you're going to rock that out, be on stage and completely rock out that. And you're like, and then when I get back, this is what I'm being called to do, to really allow the completion, the moving forward. So there's an important message here, in that we get to follow the energy and bring everything into alignment, that you can then receive the next. Because if there's still that stagnated, still the ideas that are not quite clear, and we're still having that energy in our system, that's what creates the stagnation. And you even said the magnification of like your ability to be with people and be present, all these human ways of operating, we're not totally clear on or seeing that we do, like, oh, I'm creating a little bit of separation, or I'm holding myself back, etc. And when we get this higher alignment, attunement, it's like, oh, the magnification of even like you sending frequency to people, and the transmissions of what you do, and being on stage. I was like, wow, I can just see how potent and powerful this was for you to be on stage, and that vibration emulating from you that people could receive. And that's without you even saying anything. So how did you feel like that the integration of that was with, kind of the after?
Yeah, I'm still in integration.
Yeah, I know.
I think it's a process, and my life. Yeah, my life really sped up. I mean, I came back and was home for about a week, and then my film premiered in LA, and so I had to come back out to LA and be present for that. and which was wonderful to have the first film premiere in Los Angeles. Several other projects. I had clients coming in from Africa to work with them in New York, and so I literally was on like just things just started happening so fast, and a lot of it included a lot of travel and being away from home. And what I knew that I needed to do was to stay very focused in my practice of meditation and of really grounding myself as often as possible. And because you can feel, at least I did. I mean, I did feel a little unsettled, I guess maybe is the feeling. And I know that probably a lot of people feel that as well. But to not be taken away by that, but to find more reasons to ground and to sink in. And so it deepened my meditation. It deepened my time with myself and journaling. It's also made me aware, again, because what I am I feel energy, and I feel it in a different way now. And so now I'm very conscious about where I'm physically placing myself and what I am physically surrounding myself with, and who I'm in communication with and what I'm in communication with, because I'm just that much more sensitive to it. But I wasn't quite sure what to do with it at first. And so I've had to work with that and be very aware of that. But that was for my benefit. It was for me to understand now how, because of that experience, again, my senses I like to call it my spidey senses, have been just turned on that much more. And it's been serving me in ways that I think have been so much more beneficial.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up, because this is an important part of the journey with plant medicines. So I would say if I have 10 people, 9 out of 10 people after the experience feel knocked off their rocker. Like you're talking about how you're like, oh, like all these things are magnified in senses, and that stuff is still dropping in as we're recalibrating, and you receive things even after. Yet I like to explain it that people have more of a sense, because then they think, well, why would I go and do this thing? And then I come back and I feel like you're like, And I want to explain that the context is for people is that you've become awakened and activated at such a higher level of frequency and vibration attunement. There is a deep imprinting that's happening, like in the jungle, we're imprinting with these frequencies, these knowings, that when you go back into your regular life and the collective around you, and there's energy everywhere, that you have this knowing, this remembrance, this imprinting of who you are as source. There's that thing that you were seeking before. You said, this was the thing I was seeking, that you're imprinted with, that you begin to align all of life to operate from that place. And, so what gets to happen is the things get to come up in life, or you get to go back and go, this is what I noticed for most people. They're like, everything, they usually feel dense. They usually feel more dense. And I'm like, beloved, it's not that you're more dense. It's that everything that it was in your field or in your life before that you were tolerating, remember that, like tolerating and dealing with, that you just kind of like, it's not that big of a deal. Now it feels fucking dense. Now it's like, whoa, I'm so much more highly sensitive and attuned to energy. And I'm operating at this high vibration. Being with that and allowing that to continue to exist in my world does not feel good. That is a lower vibrational energy. And now I can feel it more sensitively. And all your senses are so awakened. This is why we do talking about the integration after. You remember the integration audios where it's like, be aware. You're going to feel a lot more when you go into any environment. It's like, so you get to become more discerning of what is in total alignment for you, where you put your time, your effort, your energy, and you're going to be clearing all these things in your world that were not, or are not now in alignment with this higher attunement, that get to be shifted. So what are the new actions, behaviors? What are the things that get to be completed, so that then it's like, oh, I can exist in this place. And now you're just magnified. So there is this kind of rockiness that feels like this feeling like, and everyone's always like, I just want to go back to the jungle, and it's like, and now we get to live in our human experience, right?
Because honestly, there were days that I just pulled the cover over my head, and I was like, I don't want to do, and like, what is this, and why does everything feel so dense? And then when I realized that it's because I am able to feel it and sense it more, that it does feel heavier, but I have the option and the choice to do something about it. And it's in the awareness of it that allows you to pay attention to it and then use the tools and the things that you share to help to integrate it, to embrace it, and then to move forward or release it in some instances. There was lots of things that I was like, purging out of my life, so to speak. And knowing that it's time for this to go. In fact, I did a ceremony that I'm huge on ceremony, but I did a ceremony a couple of weeks ago that I was really clear that there were some emotions that needed to die, to literally, I needed to say goodbye to. So I did what I call a burying and a birthing ceremony. And I literally found chicken bones, and I had a pork chop bone and another bone. And each of those bones represented an emotion that I had been carrying with me. One was regret about a few decisions that I'd made, and shame, and a few other things. And so, I, with each of those bones, just sat with them and said, I am not available to continue to experience this, and it is time for me to let you go and to bury you. And so I dug up the earth, put the bones in there, poured water over it, and blessed it. And at the same time, I found some pumpkin seeds, and the seeds represented for me what I wanted to birth, and this new documentary and a new program that I'm launching for coaching clients on purpose, passion, play, and profit, and health, and all of these things. And so I put those seeds in the earth, and I added some cayenne pepper just so that it has a kick and a flame. Yeah, spice it up. And I buried it, and in simultaneously, right? So because things need to die so that things can be birthed, you need to have the space in order for something else to come up. And because I was so aware that I was doing this with the intention of the energy that I had experienced, it was such a beautiful ceremony for myself personally, but it also, I could just feel myself being lighter and being okay with letting those things go while planting these new seeds of excitement.
Oh, it's beautiful, babe. So beautiful, because we do get to, I call it, when we go back or come into that phase, because again, the integration is the action piece for me. It's like teaching people, like, step one in preparation, that was just one piece of the formula. And then we have everything that happens with the medicine and during. This is the next piece of the formula. It's like the home stretch. We get to integrate and bring everything into alignment. And that is I call it a recoding. It's like, you're just going to go back and recreate or create a new reality. So reality was this way for you, but there's things that you're going to let die, things that are going to come to completion, things that you're going to now go, this is like, I get to live in my worthiness, to just, everything gets to be excitement and light and fuck yes. And so how do I recode or create a whole new reality for me from this higher vibration? So that's such an important piece of it, that it's like, and now you're magnified in your senses and your awareness and the tools that you have to now just move forward with quickly, ease, and grace, and create at a whole nother level for humanity. So it's a gift to witness you in all of it, my love.
Thank you.
I know you've got so many things happening. Is there anything else that you feel just like is an important piece that you want to bring forth as a part of this message of, knowing what's available? And I know obviously this is the purpose of the documentary, is to really give people the space to have all these answers and feel the courage to be able to move forward and follow that call for their soul to be able to receive more. But is there anything else that you want to speak to as far as with your story or experience, or that you feel like is important for people to be able to hear?
Yeah, I'll just share that what I'm discovering is that it's so important for us to really say yes to ourselves and yes to what our soul is asking us to pay attention to. I work with a lot of creatives and a lot of people who have powerful stories, and we all do, right? We all have powerful stories. Many of them are business owners and dreamers of major projects and impact and influencers. And, sometimes we're just going through the motion, and we're just like on the treadmill, especially if you've been at this for some time. And then you get to this space where you're not really sinking into what your soul is asking you to do next. And I just want to encourage people to really listen to that, discover, what is my soul asking me to say yes to? and to listen without judgment, to be available to listen to without judgment, and available to take action without fear, because it's the fear that will stop us. And when you open yourself up to just allowing yourself to take the action and being led, so many wonderful things can come up. And so I just hope that people will say yes to themselves, yes to what their soul is asking them to do, and to move and to take action without fear and to go for it.
Yeah, babe, such good messages of truth. You are such uh, um, a beautiful transmission of not only your life's journey. You've had such a journey to be able to, the things that you share, and obviously you do through your business and the coaching and on stage and in all these things, like each thing has just been such a beautiful gift that you continue to share these nuggets for people to implement and integrate. So people can obviously find out about, you said you've got a program launching. I know you're still working with people on their stories and things like that, and you're putting such full focus on also this documentary project. So is there any way that, that we can support you in that? I don't know if you're doing a group funding kind of an option for people that are really called to it, or if there's anything else that we can do to support it, please let us know.
Yeah, definitely. Well, people can certainly reach out to me. My website is just Darieth.com, Darieth. I've got some fun free videos that are there. I also teach a 9-part framework on storytelling for business owners. And so if you're interested in that, you'll see a little tab at the top. You can certainly schedule a time to speak with me for a complimentary session to just discover how your story can change other people's lives in the ways that you may not even be aware of. And so I love to strategize and work with people for that. And if you're interested in learning about that, that'd be great. As we work to film the documentary, we're in the very early stages. Marci is going to be featured in it, as well as Mama, who we both love and adore, and many other healers who are on this earth and making a tremendous difference in the lives of others. Once we have that information up, I'm sure Marci will share that with the audience so that you can kind of follow the journey and be a part of it. Our plans are to open this up as a fundraiser. And so for anyone who feels called or led to support in that way, great. If not, just watching it. I mean, I think all of us who are collaborating on this experience are bringing our own individual medicine, so to speak, to this project. And so when it is complete and people can watch it, I really hope that everyone feels the sense that we're all in this great big maloka together and sharing the medicine that will come through as they watch the film and hear the stories and be impacted by what's possible for them. So we will make that information available once we have websites and web pages available for that as well.
Yeah, thank you, love. And I would definitely recommend everyone to check out your documentary that you also just did, especially for those that are experiencing any cyberbullying or social injustice in that way. That's such a healing, a healing that you went through and then you had laws created, my love. Like you made a big shift and change in that something that was creating a lot of resistance and trauma in the world. And that you also guide people through a way of healing with that. So definitely check out also my love's her documentary, The 50 Shades of Silence. And that's also on your website that people can find that.
Yeah, you can actually go to 50shadesofsilence.com and you can watch it there. You can also, we have a ton of different resources and steps to take if you or someone that you know or love is experiencing this form of cyberbullying and revenge porn. There are tools and support there, as well as the documentary. So, please watch that and share that. Because you never know what people are going through in their own silence. And I hope that it is a way to give voice and dignity to those victims as well.
Well, thank you, beloved. Thank you for being here and sharing your story, and also just following the call to use your gifts and abilities in sharing story to bring so much information and awareness for us in these beautiful sacred gifts. So I'm truly honored to be a part of it and to just to have the experience with you in Colombia. And I'm so grateful I get to receive you soon for our next experience. And just, thank you for taking the time with everything to share.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, love you. So you guys, please know, again, you can go to all these resources to be able to receive all the gifts that Darieth has shared, as well as if you guys have any questions, anything else with plant medicine that we can support with, you can also message my team. You can follow the information below to just be able to know that I love what you said, Darieth, and that just you follow where the energy is calling you. You know, it's like I always say, wherever there's resistance is what's to receive on the other side. So anywhere that you're experiencing resistance in your life, if you can hear that, it's just a part of our beautiful journey to get to the awakening of what is available. That's really what we're here for. And to move with that action, like you said, without fear, to choose, to lean in. It's so good. It's so good. So thank you guys for joining us on the Awaken Being Conversations Create Change. Thank you again, Darieth. And we send you all so much love and blessings. Mwah.